I think I'm going to spend a few minutes just going into the silence of the field and see what today's live stream healing session looks like from the angle of infinity. Oh. So one of my thoughts was that, it would be, since this is a live event and there could be any number of people watching, lots of people watching who've maybe never seen me before, and so that it would be good to stick with some basics and be kind of simple in my presentation. However, I realize, looking into the field, that actually most of the people watching today are well versed in the area of energy work and really ready to come together as a collective and do some really powerful work for the whole world. For the whole world. So let's do that. I don't mind changing course midstream. It's all divine intelligence expressing and exposing and unfurling itself. No matter how we look at it, it's all wonderful. More look into the silence. So one of the things that's happening, I can't help it. I just have to report what's going on. I love the silence, but the silence and the dynamism, or the silence and the action, can coexist harmoniously, simultaneously, and so can't resist to give expression. But I spoke through that last expression. Oh yeah, so one of the things that's happening is the source of creation as a manifested form of intelligence is clearing out channels of, it looks like, it looks as if the channels that are clearing are channels so that the divine intelligence can flow through everybody in the group today, and it's taking into account not only everyone who's with me and watching now, but everybody who will watch as the live stream progresses. There's a lot of really nice, clear, open flow of intelligence, of understanding, and the ability to translate what's being experienced into expressions on what I would consider the 4 subtle levels of the physiology. It's good. Good job, everybody. You're awesome. Obviously, the healings are beginning already, because as we work in those 4 subtle levels of the physiology, we're looking at past and future. A lot of compassion, forgiveness, and understanding seems to be moving through previous life experiences. And one of the things that's happening is this sort of source energy is moving through the subtler levels of people's physiologies. Is a lot of those interpretations of past experiences are getting put in perspective. That's really important. When things aren't in perspective, it's too easy to self-blame or judge or something. And, there's that old principle of the postman, that if the postman brings you a letter you don't like, it's not necessarily the postman's fault, like that. There's so many times, we're very kind of, we expect a lot from ourselves. I think particularly those who are on a spiritual path hold themselves to higher standards with regards to the way we treat others. But sometimes situations just call for action, different calls for action. And, if in the very distant past, either ancestors of yours or yourself in some challenging social construct had to do something that wasn't that gentle or easy with someone else, that's okay. Forgiveness flows into all those areas because everything we've done in the past was necessary to lead us to this moment. And this is the moment where cosmic evolution is doing its beautiful unfoldment that it's doing right now. So everything is good. Everybody's in a safe space. Everybody's comfortable. I'm seeing the numbers going up. I can tell you, this is the first time I've done a live stream. We're going to start in just a minute, it looks like. Oh, we've started. Okay, we're starting right now. So I like to start with a little prayer of gratitude to set the, well begun is half done, to set the tone for the moment. So thank you to the Mother of the Universe. Thank you to that birther of all the creations, of all the manifestations of creation, for your presence at this live stream event, Healing for Humanity. Thank you to all the forms and expressions of that great, overarching, total expression of natural law, total expression of intelligence and love. Each of the manifestations approaches or offers a facet on the diamond of creation to allow us to see and appreciate from a different perspective. So each one is precious. Thank you to the ancestors of everyone watching today. So I bow down to the physicality and every human physiology of every body that's here. I bow down to you on that level. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for being with me. Each one of you here is just such a treasure and contributing to the overall power and healing effects that are being created by our collective. Thank you to the presence of God in each person for blessing this session with efficiency and the ability to concisely isolate the most important, most salient points that need to be attended to at this moment in creation for this beautiful earth, for all the people, for all of humanity, for our family of humanity. All right. Okay. So as I mentioned, as we were warming up, that my original intention had been for this to be kind of an introduction to energy work and give us a chance to exercise some of the capabilities that particular form of, or that particular tool for healing affords. But since so many of you, and I can feel this, are already at a very high level of understanding and ability in this area, let's just dive. So I'm kind of throwing out my original blueprint or my original outline. It's okay. And we'll just go in and see what the creation wants us to do. So one of the first things I'm seeing happening is a quieting down of some of the activities and some of the intensity at the more superficial levels of the physiology. And I'm seeing people's energy getting more heart-centered. That's great. Right. And the other thing is the heart-centered capacity, the capacity of each person's heart, is now being augmented and supported by the source of creation, by the field of pure silence. it's amazing how the silence can take anything and bring in the value of absolute good. Anything, anything, no matter how horrific, no matter how challenging, no matter how awful, can be used as leverage for evolution and can be modified by that sort of thick, all-pervasive, inescapable silence, which is the embodiment or the source of everything that exists in the material level of creation, which is that more active level of creation. Right. And as we're doing that, it's allowing for an expansion to infinity of the sweetness that sits in the hearts of each person watching this live stream. Super nice. And that is expanding and extending to the ancestors. So God bless the ancestors, because so many of them really sacrificed a lot and lived good lives. Those who reproduced, those who managed to raise their children to adulthood successfully, were often the ones who were really, really giving a lot, serving in a big way throughout their whole lives, particularly in the past when living wasn't as easy as it is today. And for many, that service felt like it began and ended with each little act. And what the field of silence is doing is expanding or extending those acts of service to their infinite value. I'm actually seeing the numbers, like sets of numbers. And it appears that there are certain levels of the self, at some of the deeper levels of the physiology, which are actually monitoring or recording the nature of the shift. How many of those acts of goodness were performed by how many ancestors, and to what level or degree of infinity can those acts be extended? It's a lot of math, basically, so I think we can just honor the fact that we all have levels of our own being that are intimately integrated with the Akashic record. That's what we have to see here, is that it's natural to think in terms of certain laws of nature or functions of creation as being separate from us, but literally nothing is separate from any of us, because at the celestial level, the physiology extends to the length and breadth and depth and width and eternity of the whole creation. So it includes, there's a part of you that is the Akashic record. You are the Akashic record. And the Akashic record is just part of you. It's just one little part. And that Akashic record is so interesting because it has this shape. It's got this form that it takes from its inception at the beginnings of creation to its evolution, development. It spreads out and it becomes more and more and more defined, well-defined. It's like a process of continuing definition. And since our presentation today is on healing for humanity, it's important that we tie everything back into that original idea, that original source. So I'm just looking to do that. So healing means using our consciousness by directing attention intelligently in specific ways into specific areas of our own field of being to activate or enliven what's already existing at that level. Because everything is already constantly existing everywhere, and consciousness is looping back on itself constantly at all levels of the physiology, of all levels of the being. But when attention goes and it focuses in on a specific loop, then that causes an activation of that. It awakens it. It infuses life into it, infuses divine quality of intelligence into that area, even more than it was already present. And it allows us to harness or utilize the laws of nature present at that level. So this is what we're doing in energy work always. This is in a nutshell. Humanity means all those souls which are living in human bodies at this time on Earth, and it also includes all those who have ever lived and all those who ever will live. Because all are contained within each of us at the level of our DNA. So each of you is all of humanity, you are living the story of all of humanity at every moment. It's very beautiful. And what I'm doing is, and this is me demonstrating what I just described in the energy work about a minute ago, is my awareness is going into that level of my own being, which is responsible for, or is large enough to embrace what we would call all of humanity. So just feeling through the physiologies. And as my consciousness does that, my consciousness shares, we all share this moment together. And so we all can share that process of allowing awareness to become more delicate, more refined, more subtle, more silent, and expand open and embrace what we think of as, what we know as, what we feel in our physiologies, because all of our human physiologies are connected through our own humanity to all other human physiologies. So much sweetness. I would say one of the principal or primary characteristics of human beings, of the humanity that exists on this planet, is compassion. There's so much sweetness in this humanity. And I know we can look at the news and we can isolate out little dark pockets here and there, but the overriding principle, the overriding premise, especially when we're looking back through the past and the future, as dark and as dense and as heavy as collective consciousness has been, the fact that humanity has managed to rise up above that, to expand past it and continue to cultivate refined expressions of intelligence, culture, creativity, the heart, in spite of all that, is quite fantastic. It's quite astounding. This is who we really are. And one of the things that's happening right at this moment is we're connecting this awareness or perception of the whole of humanity in its essential nature as basically incredibly compassionate and patient and tender and strong and capable of so much, with the light that emanates from the very beginnings of creation, the very source of creation. Think of it like a star. This essential energy which sits behind everything which is manifest is one of the most precise expressions of our essential nature. And it's interesting because we can think of love as one of the great keys to unlocking our own ability to heal, our healing potential, because if one loves oneself, one protects oneself, one validates and accepts oneself, then it's easy for the finer, more powerful aspects of consciousness, which are capable of producing healing effects, to activate. It's easier to harness them up and to get them moving up into the denser levels of the being and really get the healing work taking place. But this love has to be accompanied with a sense of service, and service and love together are defined as devotion, connected with devotion. And that's really another way of describing that quality that I was seeing when I was looking at the whole of humanity. There's an element of such dedication and such devotion from generation to generation to generation. And I know there are parents who've made mistakes, and I know that people were dealing with wars and they were dealing with illnesses and all kinds of challenges in the past, and yet in spite of that, it is that essential energy or element of creation which busted through all that stuff, which allows the generations to continue going generation after generation and expanding. So we know what the essential element was there. We know what the essential energy was. It was that sweet, pure, exhilarating, unstoppable light of the being of all wanting to express itself and to adore itself through the knowledge of its own self-expression. It's really, really beautiful. So the thing is that in the past, without that field of silence activated and lively, people have lost track of their identification or their ability to associate themselves with that light, with that structure of being, which is this unstoppable, unquenchable excitation of pure intelligence, pure silence, pure being, pure unmanifested being, which is moving through from the unmanifested levels of creation into the manifested levels. That's who we really are. I know it's a little abstract, it's a little heady, but let's go ahead and do some application here, apply some of this energy to our Sweet World family for 2016, for supporting people's ability to carry through their resolutions and to live a quality of life which will allow our dear Earth and our dear family of humanity to make incredible strides this year, to let go of the boundaries and limitations of previous experiences and move forth into a level of expression of potential which has yet been unseen, on our Earth. And when I say that, yet been unseen, awareness, and I love giving you guys a little insight of what's going on with my consciousness as I'm speaking this out. It starts fathoming back, starts traveling back. Let's see. You guys are opposite of me, so traveling back in time. Thousands of years, many thousand, like 36,000 years. 36,000 years. There's an energy back about 36,000 years in the history of humanity, which there was an awakening. I'm just feeling it. And I'm feeling the same feeling that we're having right now in this session of the incredible force of that silence to awaken or activate and clear out boundaries and limitations in what we perceive of as ourselves and our consciousness, to connect us, each of us, as the entirety of humanity. So the connection's going back that far. That's nice. I mean, I know humanity goes back farther than that, but there was a key moment of awakening back then which wants to play a role in the work that we're doing right now at this present moment. It wants to open up the channels of communication and speak to the present world, basically. I'm just listening so that I can report to you. So, one of the points that's coming up as we make this nice connection throughout the history, throughout a long history of human experience, is that one of the elements which is responsible for struggle or suffering in the body of humanity has been a feeling or a sense of separation from one's own divine nature. And this is like part of this message that I got from that I'm experiencing as a integration of who we are in the world at this moment with who we were on this earth 36,000 years ago. It is that feeling of not being connected to or integrated with divinity. And because the thrust of human life is to move our awareness forward from subtle abstract levels, like through the thinking process, into the denser levels of our world in order to manifest divine intelligence into the world as beauty and refinement and grace and love and expressions of devotion, etc. So this has been a common thread of human existence forever, for the times of being human. And experiencing the relative field, experiencing the manifest level of creation is so charming, and it's so almost like overwhelming to the senses. It's so enriching to the senses that's been the point where the loss of feeling of relationship with that field of pure absolute silence has been sitting. And so I'm just asking, thank you all for helping. I'm just asking how anyone or where any of us working as a collective now can address any blockages there so that particular experience of being separate from one's own divinity can be cleared out and eradicated from human experience once and for all. I'm just asking if it's possible. Maybe it's possible. We can do anything, right? It seems to be in the heart. Deep, deep, at a very, 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 very fine level of the heart. There is a quiet, sacred space there. I'm looking at it. Thank you, it's looking back. And right in that spot, there is such innocence and sweetness, such purity, such perfection of perception. And right in that spot, I'm asking the Mother of the Universe what is required to go there, what it wants. What does it want? I'm asking it, how can we make our experience of this as beautiful as possible, as perfect as possible? And what I'm seeing is a very sweet light of divine being is flowing through this very, very teeny, very, very fine, tender spot deep, deep within the heart. And is this deep within the heart of all of humanity? Is it just those who are watching right now? We're just doing this as we go along. I love it that we're doing this live. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Right there. Oh, so sweet. So everyone who's watching, we shall do it. So all who are watching this live stream are creating at this moment the blueprint or the expression, the manifestation of a process, a very refined and delicate process that will extend past us as we do this to the whole of humanity. Yay, healing humanity. It's nothing like loving humanity more than anything. So deep in these hearts, this light is flowing from the source of creation, from the field of pure silence, is manifesting forth a light which has a sparkling quality. It contains qualities such as cosmic cleanser, which is absolutely purifying. It's gently transforming or reshaping this very, very, very fine, tender spot deep within the heart, so that that area is able to shine or rise to its potential. Rise to its potential. It is a seed. This light is a seed. It has within it, it is connected to the Akashic record. Good thing we were working with the Akashic record earlier. So we have that identified and realize that the Akashic record also is not separate from us. And this is obviously, it's like a, what do they say, like a prophecy or something? When something was meant to happen, it was predicted. That's it. This 36,000 years ago, they saw this. It was predicted that this would happen. They knew this was going to happen. They knew we were going to bring this light forth. Bless you, everyone who's watching, for being bringers of light and allowing this teeny, delicate, sweet, pure, deep, deep inner level of your hearts to become fortified and strengthened and blessed and self-identified with the very energy that is responsible for the manifestation of the whole creation. That's what it is. It's a self-identification. Good job, everybody. You're doing it. Your doing it is allowing this process to stabilize in a way it would not otherwise stabilize if one person were all by themselves, or if it wasn't happening at all. So as this happens over here at my end, I'm exploring and I'm letting these, sending out these beams of consciousness from the heart to the whole of humanity to see how it's resonating in the hearts of mankind at this moment. So for many people, hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people, hundreds of millions, hundreds, more than 100, can we go to a billion 1, to about billion and like close to 1.5 billion people are experiencing it as devotion. That's nice. That's the level at which they can really imbibe this. There's something stabilizing and integrating about having a deep inner experience and then applying it through action. So that's what devotion is. It's service and love. So at this moment, 1.5 billion people performing actions which are pure expressions of love and service, which are causing an integration in their hearts at that deep, tender, deep, deep level of this light. And they're coming to know themselves. This is the important thing that we're doing right now, is our attention is going in and speaking. Your heart has become infused with intelligence through this process, and you can actually speak directly from your heart to humanity. It's an open channel. So as the heart speaks to humanity, it's speaking, it's whispering very delicately this message that you are that. You are that brilliant light, which is the source of creation. So as individuals are performing functions, maybe they're doing something as simple as, cleaning up a mess or taking care of a child, or even taking care of themselves, or whatever, taking care of somebody else's stuff. It's that act is integrating this reality to them. They are experiencing themselves as that light, as that sweet, holy light of creation, which is the source of everything which is manifest. It seems like an isolated thing because I describe it with words, but it's not isolated. It is pure existence. I'm looking at it in relationship to grace. That's where my consciousness is moving right now, because grace is present at every point in creation. So we want to... Okay, I'm feeling the waves are moving now. So the waves are moving out, and as those waves start to flow through everyone watching this, video, everyone joining me here in the live stream, and for all those individuals who at this moment were connected to 1.5 billion. I'm holding the silence, because the silence allows every move and every transformation, every modification of consciousness which is taking place to happen in perfect synchrony, in perfection, as the absolute expression of the highest intelligence of creation, in the name of divinity, in the name of the highest. There it is. It's moving. Feels so sweet. So sweet. And what I'm seeing, is very interesting, never saw before, I'm seeing these spiral-like rippling waves that are moving. Rippling waves are moving in spirals out from the source of creation into the manifested level of creation. And they are filled with certain qualities of creativity and intelligence which contain aesthetic perfection and are allowing people's ability to express, to come forth in forms which have exquisite beauty in them. Well done. Well done, everybody. This is nice. Now, what everyone who's watching will experience is these waves will start to modify our own perception of our own field and environment. They will, number one, allow whatever comes forth from your highly intelligent heart, which has been activated in its intelligence, to express itself in even more sophisticated and refined ways, and at the same time also allow you to perceive your environment as more beautiful, more refined, more perfect than it was. What you put your attention on expands. Whenever we direct our attention anywhere, it has this activating or enlivening effect on whatever it falls upon. So even if there are imperfections at the relative level of expression, when your awareness is able to fall upon or recognize the perfection which is in the imperfection, it validates it, it activates it, and causes it to come forth. It causes it to expand what is beautiful, what is perfect about any particular situation, as circumstances or object, or yourself. It needs to fall back on the self. That's where we're going with that. Because the healing for humanity, remember, we've got this 1.5 billion support system going with us. At least that many people are with us on the level of consciousness. Their God presences are clued into what's happening here. And this ability to recognize and perceive divine perfection necessarily heals one's own psyche, one's emotions, one's relationships with one's beloveds, one's relationship with oneself when it goes back on the self. And the beauty of it is, remember that big wave that just came out a few minutes ago? And that big wave came out. What it's doing, I'm describing it, is flopping back on itself, obviously. Because when I say that we start to recognize that perfection in ourself, that's the wave flopping back in to its infinite silence. So as it flops back in, it expands out, it becomes more unbounded, it becomes less bound, it becomes less concrete, less manifest. And that beautiful, powerful, amazing wave which you guys created went up. It did this big expansion, explosion thing, and it's coming back down, and it's going to settle right back down into silence, pure silence again. That wave brought itself forward because you brought yourself forward as a wave. I know that the only thing that your senses have to connect to are my words and my hand motions. So it may seem as if there wasn't a lot in it, but I can tell you energetically something big happened, and it came forward because We are supposed to understand ourselves as energy at this level. Now, this is who and what we are. This is what we really are. I know that we have created some stability at the finer levels of the physiologies by creating this wave, and that now will allow us to create the next wave, which you're about to do, so that we can see it again now from another angle. Think of looking at a diamond. Each expression of our intelligence comes forward as a different way of perceiving what we really are, which is this light of creation. We're going to back in the silence, and we're looking at that initial flow of creative intelligence which was responsible for the whole manifested universe, that light. And sometimes I've described it as the light that comes forth at the beginning of the creation, this unstoppable flow of intelligence and creativity, this singularity that was folded on itself like a little seed that wanted to come forward as the whole creation. So it puffed up and it started to recognize itself, and then it burst forward and it became the whole universe. And the energy that was behind the burst was this desire to know itself, to adore itself by recognizing itself through its own self-expression. So that's that light. So we're in the silence. We've got the light. I'm seeing where it's stabilizing in the physiologies this time, because each time it stabilizes at new levels of the physiology. Deep, deep levels at first. Okay, so this time it's coming through into what I would call the celestial level of the physiology and the causal level of the physiology. And these two areas interface with each other to give rise to the initial structures which are responsible for the manifestation at the relative material level of creation. So we have, it wants to go back and pick up on the spiral that was taking place before. The information coming is that everything flows in cyclic patterns, and our consciousness flows in cyclic patterns. Well, that makes sense. And I'm just getting this new information, so I'm spouting it out to you as it's coming into me. And these circles can, when our attention hits a loop of consciousness, like consciousness is constantly looping back on itself at all levels of creation, all places. But when our awareness gets in on a loop, what it does is it interfaces with that loop a little bit the way gravity interfaces with sound waves or something. For example, if you look at a sine wave, everybody's ever seen a sine wave? They look like this. But actually, sine waves, if you turn them around, like a sine wave is going like this, turn it around so it's going this way, it's actually going like this. But it's moving through space, like as my words come out of my mouth, they're rippling through and they're compressing the molecules in the air, which are coming out and hitting this microphone here. So what's happening is we have a system which is like a sphere or a circle, and then it gets activated by awareness or attention, which causes it to spread out like that, and that creates like a spreading of the circular form, and it creates a spiral. And it is the silence that allows this is so good. It's the silence that allows the spiral to expand or contract. And expanding or contracting is merely the intelligence moving from the fine level out to the gross level. So the silence comes in, right? And attention comes in, and we're like, yes, I understand my celestial level of my body. I can activate and harness the causal values to interface with that. And then pure silence comes in. That means I let go and I don't care what happens with it. And that causes it to manifest forth to the gross, dense material level where it manifests as something. Meanwhile, the contraction is from the dense level of consciousness, from the dense level of perception, the relative level, the material level of perception. Awareness attends, and what that does is it causes the spiral to expand as it moves down into creation. So we have expanding spirals that move up from the unmanifest level of creation to the manifest level, and we've got contracting spirals, so to say, contractions that move from the relative level back down into the absolute unmanifest level of creation. And what I'm seeing is something that looks like spheres. So I'm using a kind of a two-dimensional diagram for you guys here, with the unmanifest level down here at the bottom and the manifest level up at the top. But the reality is that it's more like spheres. And I feel that we're kind of looking at, is it called Heidelberg space? Some of you physicists out there can maybe help me out with this. I think it's called Heidelberg space. But there's this like space-time foam that's at a quantum level of creation, where basically universes are being created constantly. And it is in a field that's like that, where the space isn't really two-dimensional at all or linear. It's really multidimensional. These sort of foaming of universes, and this expansion contraction effect, which is created by our consciousness as we create these waves. So I would like to stabilize that, because that was really abstract, with the overall theme of today's session, which is the healing for humanity, because as we apply it, it becomes much more concrete, accessible, and we become better able to utilize this information in a really practical way. So one of the qualities or features of this foam, we'll call it foam, but think of it as billions of zillions of universes all popping open, opening and closing and expanding and contracting all at the same time at a very, very fine level, quantum level of creation. One of the qualities of that is there's a kind of an effervescence or excitement, a very sparkling. And remember at the beginning, I was talking about when very beginning, even before this session had officially started, I think there was an activation for the heart. And it was like a sparkling light that was coming forward. That sparkling light has an ability to cut through a lot of density. And so one of the things we're doing for humanity in this session is we're utilizing our ability to activate and harness the sparkling excitement of this particular level of our own consciousness to bypass the incredible density that humanity has been oppressed by for centuries. It's like the antidote to that oppression. It is an antidote. And it is none other than what you are. As we identify ourselves with these qualities of energy or consciousness, which is our actual real nature, we can think of them as laws of nature. We can think of them as angels or ascended masters. Well, that's a whole other way of looking at it. But the reality is, there's only one thing. It's only consciousness. It's only consciousness. And this quality or level, as I described to you, this level of your consciousness, which has this effervescent quality and this ability to literally manifest, explode universes, zillions of billions of trillions of them simultaneously opening and closing and opening and closing. It's awakening it within our consciousness. It awakens us within our awareness. We become familiar with who we really are. This is who we really are. This is the nature of consciousness at a very fine level. And once we have self-identified with a level of consciousness which is so powerful as to be able to create universes, then that level of our own consciousness has been infused with the power and ability to become useful to us. All of you are doing it, and it is being utilized. I am holding the silence because from the silence, this aspect of creative intelligence is capable of moving forth into the creation and having an effect which is absolutely perfect. We don't have to leave it to our individuality to decide, oh, what do I do with it once I found it? No, it's okay. It's okay. The divine level of the self knows exactly what to do with it. I'm counting. How many people have we got who are being affected, who are being supported, and I'll tell you in just a minute what's happening with them. But let's just find some numbers. We've got the 1.5 billion that were already with us. So I expect it goes up from there. 1.5 billion. We're adding in another 500 million. Another about 7.75 billion are added in. So we're up over 2 billion people, 2.25 billion people. And this effervescent quality of our consciousness, which is affecting the entirety of humanity going back 36,000 years. I'm watching, and I will report to you what I see it doing. You guys might already be having your own experiences of that. Okay, it's up in the whole throat, neck, mouth, head expression area of the being. And it's also very clearly affecting brainstem. Oh, that makes sense, doesn't it? Brainstem and up into the limbic system. We're looking at the low road response in the nervous system. And we know that the low road response is responsible so often for people just it's the flight or fight response, right? It's when the energy comes up, the consciousness comes up here, goes through the limbic system, it goes right back down, and you just go, oh my God, I've got to do something, as opposed to the high road response where it comes forward into the prefrontal cortex, where the logical thinking and reasoning and moral reasoning, all that stuff is up in the front. This is a slower response. But the beauty of the low road response is that it's very fast. The downside is that it is often responsible for people doing or saying things that they regret later. And it's important that this energy, this expression of your being, which is responsible for the healing that is taking place within you right now. And remember, everybody who's watching is getting the healing for themselves, and we're acting like little examples or blueprints or structures to communicate out to this. At this point, we've got 2.25 billion people who are receiving this healing. It's happening up in their low road response area of the physiology. It's causing rebalancing of hormonal production in this part of the physiology, so that one doesn't. And it's also, I'm seeing a really good, remember before our hearts were speaking to humanity? This is also happening at the same time. So there's both a heart and a mind communication taking place at the same time. And what it's doing is the refinement is coming forth from the heart area into this low road response area of the mind, and is causing the low road response to become more delicate, more refined, more sensitive. Remember that place that we found earlier, deep, deep, deep within the finest, most delicate level of the heart. The reality of that point of our physiologies, it's like a holder of that silence. That deep, delicate point in the heart is like the sacred bed where that silence likes to sit. It's one of them. Probably every cell has a spot where that silence sits. Every molecule has a spot, but it's resonating at a certain frequency that's communicating to the limbic system, and particularly talking to the pituitary gland, which is up near the front part of the limbic system. So it's allowing the balancing of the entire endocrine system of the body, but it's also, there's a refinement of the way in which we produce hormones. There's a refinement of the way we react or respond to situations and circumstances. And I'm feeling, and again, remember that big wave that came back before? Okay, we're having another big wave, this rising up. And as this wave is rising, it's carrying that effervescent quality of this very fine level of our consciousness with it, so that as the wave rises, it rises with qualities of excitement and joy and happiness and this excitation. And as that's, even though the excitation is there, I keep giving you the inside. What I'm doing too is I keep looking back into the silence and holding it, because in order for a wave to be a tidal wave, it must move with the depths of the ocean. So the silence that I'm holding as this wave rises up, this wave of energy that's coming up like bubbling excitement through the physiologies, through our physiologies and through the physiologies of the 2.25 billion It can rise higher and be more powerful and be stronger when its stable base of silence is not shaken or lost. So this is important. So we've got, for those watching, we've got 3 levels going on. We've got the silent base foundation, holding steady. You've got this deep, deep inner little delicate chamber deep within the heart, which holds, protects the quality of devotion. And we've got this area up in the limbic system, the intelligence, how the intelligence flows through the body and how we respond or react to situations, so that as we move forward from this point, 2016, day 2 of 2016, that everybody on earth can delicately, with grace, respond to intensities, to intense situations with intuitively, instinctually, because remember, the low road response is an instinctual process, but with an aspect of divine grace, synchronicity embedded in it. That's what's happening. That's what we're doing. This is going out. 2.25. Can it go out to any more than that? Can it go? Yes. The tidal wave is expanding. It's expanding up to 3 billion, 3 billion, 3 billion point 2, 3 billion point 3, 3 billion. It doesn't want to go any further than 3 billion point 3. That's as far as it wants to go. That's okay. That's beautiful. That's amazing. That is totally amazing. That is totally beautiful. So I would like to, as this wave is rising, I'm always watching the inner mechanics of the rise of the wave, because this is so fascinating. These dynamics by which that which is unmanifest becomes manifest. And what I'm seeing in there is the quality of synchronicity itself being a really key player, is a key player in our future as we're moving into, we are actually creating at this point, we're sowing the seeds right now for the manifestation of our world in this coming year. Nice job, everybody. I didn't know we were going to do this. I'm impressed. I'm bowing down to your divinity, to your God presences. You guys are amazing. The quality of synchronicity in this wave, this quality. It is an integration, it is coherence, it is connection. And as I say the word connection, my inner vision is opening to the matrix which connects all life force on earth. So that life force is being infused with a quality of synchronicity. And this is an action which is taking place in your physiologies from the celestial level of your physiologies. These huge, powerful, very abstract, not manifest, but very powerful forms which have a capability of actually working with this crystal matrix, with this matrix of life. And it's activating synchronous forms. We had to do that previous wave because remember, the previous wave had to do with aesthetic, had to do with that which was beautiful. Well, this ties in because as I'm watching this crystal matrix being infused with this synchronicity, which still has that effulgent, lovely, yummy light of the source of creation in it, there's a sophistication associated with universal structures like the golden mean, for example. Again, mathematics is playing in here. It has to do with structures which are capable of carrying divine intelligence in their actual physicality. That's what it is. That's what it is. This is what synchronicity really is. It is an expression of forms of creation which are capable of carrying divinity within them. And the energy is really, it's rolling big and strong. And that tidal wave, we have to go back and hold the silence. Thank you. Because the tidal wave can only flow with that infinite bed underneath it. Okay, good, beautiful, perfect. You're doing it. You're doing it. The wave is flowing. That was amazing. That was completely awesome. So now we have, it's going, the wave finished its full loop at the top, and it's coming back down again. It's spiraling back down. You guys were awesome. That was incredible. As it spirals down, of course, what happens is huge amounts of devotion, dedication, bliss, and love fall back into the field of pure silence. And this is happening for the ancestors. This is the ancestors are experiencing it. They are integrating. Some of your ancestors in the spirit realms of creation, in the subtle realms. Their bodies, think of our bodies, all fleshy bodies, manifesting from the very deepest level to the most abstract, to the most concrete level of creation. Think of those who are not in the human body. Their bodies only manifest at a deep level. They're just energy fields. They're experiencing themselves as energy fields. But the waves, this last wave that we created, I experienced at least 2 or 3 minor waves within it, or waves within the wave. What's happening is that these were affecting this field of creation where there's a lot of life force there that doesn't manifest all the way to the dense level of creation. So, nice job, everybody. And so what's happening is, as the wave is kind of quieting down for us, it's actually expanding out for that level of creation. And I know I said that before. I'm repeating myself a lot. It's okay. We have a lot of people coming and going throughout this whole live stream. So that's why it's important that everybody stays tied into the wholeness of the information which is coming forth. Anyway, so, very beautiful. Okay, so I'm just looking to see how that information is integrating. And I'm seeing right now what looks like colors and textures, richness. Oh, yes. It looks like a particular, like a medicine. You should know that we can create forms of energy that act upon the denser levels of energy, the denser levels of creation as medicine that influence, specific influences. And there's a quality that has to do with dedication or devotion of behavior with extreme compassion, but also such an extreme compassion that one is able to go into a challenged situation and apply enough force to make a real concrete move, to actually move matter, move bones if bones need to be moved, to move through the field of synchronicity, structures, events, people, to move matter. There's a little bit of push is required. And that little bit of push has to come with so much love and dedication that the result is absolute grace. The result of the push is the change that takes place blesses in every conceivable way. There's a Vedic term for yagya, that it means an action that incurs no bad or ill effect whatsoever. So it becomes that action. And of course, what we want all of our actions to become that action. Every action. So we're using the activation that just took place in the matrix of life, in the matrix of humanity, to offer this medicine to humanity. We're offering to humanity. And can it go to a higher level? Can it go to a bigger number? Can we come up to, it looks like we're up into 4, almost 5 billion people can receive this medicine through the matrix of creation, which is so deeply compassionate. It's so focused with intelligence and logic and like a firmness. There's a firmness in it that allows for an actual movement of the relative level of creation. I'm holding the silence. Anybody who's comfy getting into pure absolute silence. Because there's so much power in this particular energy medicine, which you have created, that it must be applied with utmost intelligence and care and awareness. There's an activation of awareness. There are big forms that are waking up in everybody's physiology. Everyone who's watching this has these ancient structures that have been around much longer than your physical form, but are you. They are you in your more essential level of expression. And you possess tremendous intelligence. You possess tremendous detailed knowledge of many things. You are so awesome. So as this is awakening these levels of one's own intelligence, now you may experience them as archives of knowledge. You may experience, those of you who are watching, as fields within yourself where there's this vast amount of knowledge and learning and understanding. But really, you must know that part of this healing has to do with your own ability to bow down and recognize that as yourself. As long as we see it as something separate from us, it cannot be as much of a service as when we understand and recognize that these archives, these places of deep, deep understanding of the essence of human nature awakens. All we're doing is we're directing our awareness intelligently into that area, and it awakens it. And then, once it's awakened, we can harness it. And as it's becoming harnessed, it's moving, it's interfacing or acting in accord with this matrix of creation, which has all these lovely has been refined by our consciousness in that last big wave. So as that refinement took place, it allows this medicine to move out to the whole of humanity and to literally heal. Heal the sick. Heal the sick. Heal every little place in the being where there has been concern, where there has been suffering, but most of all where there has been an experience of separation with divinity. Because that, in a sense, in almost all cases, the suffering comes back to that. Something was going on. I don't see how this has any rhyme or reason or how it has any use in creation. And so it just seems like a horrible thing. But the fact is that when that broadness of perspective moves in from that level of the being, which is responsible for keeping track and knowing all things, then it applies, and then the divinity of every situation comes forth. In almost every case where there has been illness, where there has been sickness, where there has been suffering, it's a byproduct of the body communicating back to the self that something needs to slow down. I need to get back into the silence. It's asking you to go back to the silence whenever that happens. So by allowing the message to be honored, by taking an action step, this is your devotion, this is your service, your seva, to allow yourself to let go of the preconceived idea that something should come out a certain specific way and going back into the silent field. You see that wave that last wave, this is it coming back down again, right? Goes back into the silence. Then the silence has this way of bringing out the very best in any given situation. And that is not nothing. That is really important. It's important. So I'm asking the silence how it wants to continue, if it wants to continue in this mother of creation. If she wants to continue with this, if she wants to add her, yes, she's bringing in showers of healing, liquid white light. Thank you. Very sweet. And anytime we harness up and activate the fine, powerful, profound, delicate levels of our own consciousness and start applying them and using them, it brings incredible joy to the being. When joy flows, this heals the circulatory system and it heals the heart. So as we're doing this work, we are literally healing our circulatory systems. We're healing our hearts. I don't know about all countries in the world, but I know in America, heart disease, I think, is the #1 killer. So this is definitely an area that needs that healing. So we're just allowing that. Again, we're looking at this point, we've had pretty much, in my perception, consistent presence of this particular healing balm or medicine that's been created energetically by your beings that is moving out through the whole of creation. And again, it has tremendous compassion, but also has a kind of a kick to it. It's got some strength to it. And at this point, it is applying to the circulatory systems and physical hearts of individuals. There's a lot of fear. A lot of people are holding fear in their hearts. So the fear needs to clear. So that's easy. The part of you that does that is the celestial level of your physiology. There is material I mentioned earlier called Cosmic Cleanser, which is like a solvent, and it can get in there and it can just dissolve the fear out of the hearts. Fear is an energetic structure, an energetic form, and I'm looking into the whole year, 2016, and I'm definitely seeing this fear clearing out of 2016. So nice, because it's one, remember I said earlier that when attention goes into an area, it awakens it, it enlivens it. Well, what's the difference then between going into the fear that people have in their hearts? Are we not, you can ask, are we not enlivening or activating that fear? And the answer is no, because we're not going in and identifying with it or being overwhelmed by it. We are holding, from our own perspective of absolute silence, the ability to go into this field of the hearts of humanity and identify the fear. And when the fear is up at a denser level of creation, so it looks really small when awareness is stabilized at a deeper level. This is a more expanded level, and this is a more defined level. So the fear becomes very small. It's nothing to it. It clears out of the hearts of humanity. And as that happens, there is nothing left for those who wish people to feel fear to hook onto. When there's no fear in the heart, then nobody can make you feel afraid. The joy, then, that effervescent joy, which is an essential quality of your personality, of your nature, of your being, is able to move into the circulatory system. And with that medicine that was created earlier, that lovely medicine has kind of a shimmering, coppery, goldeny color to it. And it's able to go into the circulatory system and literally clear. We are cleaning. We're house cleaning. This is the house cleaning. This plaque inside the arteries can be dissolved. And that's what's happening. We're clearing out that plaque. Dissolving the plaque. It can dissolve amazingly quickly when we realize that it only manifested as a byproduct of discordant feelings in the system in the first place. And when the discordant feelings are dissolved, the plaque has nothing to hold on to. Think of the plaque like a terrorist act in the body. You know, it's designed to incite fear in the heart. But if there's nothing for it to connect to, then it just washes out. And connected with that plaque are feelings of guilt and I don't deserve, and I've made too many mistakes in the past, and all that connects back to feeling of separation from your own divinity. So the very work that you are doing is awakening and activating your own divine capabilities, therefore stabilizing your connection with your own divinity. You're doing it. I'm just reporting. But I am so impressed, and I'm asking if this healing that's taking place for people's hearts I'm asking the Mother of the Universe, I'm asking my own inner perceptions to expand as big as possible. If there's any way that this can be given, that we can replace the fear with the quality of stable, quiet service. Just moving forward. See the job, do the job. Just moving forward, moving through. And this is the quality which, as I mentioned at the beginning, was related to the very nature of humanity as a whole. That was a very wonderful moment in this session when we were looking at humanity as a wholeness and how that quality of being able to ever rise above the density which exists, which has somehow been holding down the collective of our earth for so long. And I'm just asking, is there a way we can go in and wash away using this? We've created, you guys, a very kind of beautiful, like a matrix or a crystal-like pattern of all these different facets that have arisen from today's work. If we can somehow go in and apply that to the density that sits in the collective consciousness of humanity, the ignorance, the doubt, the again, we've already addressed fear, but other discordant feelings, including fear, anything like that, if we can go in and address that directly and wash it away now, wash it away for our world family, for our human family, family of humanity, for this coming year, so that we start the year out fresh. Looking into that matrix of life that connects everything to everything, all places, all people. Yes. So what we're getting is, what's coming forth is, the first thing that's coming forth is, I'm actually smelling a clean smell. It's like camphor or camphor, eucalyptus, menthol, like that. There's a element of cleanliness which is very pervasive. It's very permeable. It's able to move into all little areas of creation. And I'm seeing it going into the finest. It's being carried by grace. And grace is present at every point in creation. So as this beautiful, clean element moves forward into the matrix of creation to bless the family of humanity through grace. And I think grace is a real key here. And again, another wave is rising. And this wave is being carried by grace. And it's interesting because grace is not only present in every point in creation, it is one of the great mobilizers of divine intelligence into the field of relative manifestation. Grace is, I think of grace like a kind of ocean in which energetically we are all existing. It is an ocean around us. It is the ocean of consciousness around us. Can be experienced as grace. But it's very important that we understand that in order to really activate and harness the potential that grace has, that it is, we must know that it is the self. It is our own self. Once we self-identify with that quality of consciousness, with that quality of our own being, then it becomes useful. Then it becomes something that is ever accessible and applicable to situations like this. Very beautiful, beautiful. And so again, the energy wave is starting to rise up. And the quality of grace, what's happening, this is so beautiful. I've worked with grace for years and I've never seen this happen. But there are these tiny little, remember earlier that little delicate spot in the heart, little tiny loops of consciousness that are folding in within each particle of grace in creation, which are causing grace to self-identify and strengthen, fortify, expand, and become a form of its own being which has never been before. This is amazing and exquisite. I've never seen anything like it. It's astounding. I'm astounded. I'm astounded. I'm just watching it. I'm watching it. I'm watching it. I'm watching it touching all life forms on Earth, not just humans, but all through the oceans and through, oh, sorry, I hit my microphone. That was exciting. No, it's just, it's exciting. It's absolutely beautiful. It's not just rolling through Earth. It feels like it's, this wave is expanding. I have to hold the silence on it so that it's, this tidal wave rolls as big as it can possibly roll, and does maximum amount of good and benefit and creation out past our Earth, past our solar system, into our cosmic world, into the cosmos, into the universe, into the galaxy, expanding in through our beautiful Milky Way galaxy. Our galaxy is so beautiful. Wow. So this expansion of grace is taking place. And I am really honored to have the joyful position of holding the silence of it, and just thanking and thanking. This is what's happening in my heart. I'm just thanking and thanking and thanking the mother of the creation for having created such a thing as grace, and having shown us that grace can fold in on herself, on itself, on oneself in such a way as to promote its own evolution. And this is one of the beautiful, great heralding keys to the new time that we're coming into, is finding keys which allow us to promote our own energetic evolution forward through the intelligent folding of awareness into its own nature. Anywhere you direct your attention, you're folding your attention into that. And anywhere your attention goes, it awakens that. And I know I keep repeating some of these points, but we keep getting more people joining the group. So what can I say? Anyway, I'm looking at my clock, and I'm seeing that our session has now officially been 1 hour and 15 minutes, which was the max amount of time that I wanted to impose upon you. So thank you, everyone, dearly for joining this live stream. Thank you for engaging in this exercise in utilizing your own cosmic potential for the healing of mankind, for the healing of the family of humanity, and as we saw in this last, as we experienced in this last wave, a healing that went out to the entire universe, at least to our whole Milky Way, to our whole solar system. Yeah, I'm seeing it still rolling. It rolls to all the galaxies, our Milky Way galaxy, all the other galaxies, all the whole universe. It rolls back in on itself. It's beautiful. Anyway, so thank you for being part of this and exercising your ability to function from the celestial and causal level of your physiology from several different angles that built on themselves and resulted not only in a blessing for humanity, a blessing for ourselves, but a blessing for all times, past and future, for our ancestors, and for the Creator of all. Thank you all for joining me. It's been an incredible joy. It's been an incredible pleasure. And I hope you enjoyed this live stream. And, let me know how you like it. I think there are links to my website in the comments section below. Thank you. Everybody take care. Wishing everybody an incredible 2016. May this just be the very, very baby beginnings of what we accomplished in 2016. You guys are awesome. Thank you.